The bank letter arrived, demanding payment on a nearly $1 million mortgage for a house I'd never bought. My heart seized, but what truly shattered me was realizing who had used my name, forged my signature, and put my entire life savings at risk, my own daughter. Little did she know, this wasn't just a bill. It was a declaration of war, and I was about to fight back. Before we jump back in, don't forget to subscribe while you're listening, and let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Now, take a breath and listen closely. This is my story. The crisp white envelope wasn't just a bill. It was a bombshell, almost hidden beneath the pile of routine mail. My morning ritual, the gentle clink of a spoon in my coffee mug, dissolved as my fingers brushed its unfamiliar texture. Fairview National Bank. Strange. We hadn't done business in years. A widow's sixth sense, honed by a decade of living alone since Harold passed, flared into icy dread. I tore it open. "Dear Mrs. Vance," it began, "you are reminded of your late monthly mortgage payment." The amount that followed made my head reel. $7,243.80. "What in the blazes is this?" I muttered, my voice thin. The letter claimed I was behind on a 900. My hand trembled as I dialed Fairview National. An eternity on hold, then a calm voice. "Eleanor Vance, there's a mistake. I never took a loan." The operator checked. "According to our records, on March 14th, you took out a mortgage for $950,000 to buy real estate at Lakeview Terrace, number 27, in Concord." "Impossible!" I gasped. "I signed no such papers." Her flat reply chilled me. "We have all documentation, Mrs. Vance, including your signature on the loan agreement, passport copies, social security, tax returns." My mouth went bone dry. Someone had used my identity for this colossal sum. "It's fraud," I stated, my voice shaking. "Someone stole my data." The operator advised reporting it to the authorities, adding a sharp warning. "Until cleared, the bank holds you responsible." The line clicked dead. The silence in my kitchen was deafening. The shrill ring of the phone startled me. Clara's name flashed. "Mum, did you remember? It's Lily's birthday today." She burst out, skipping a greeting. "We're expecting you at 3. And please, no awful green sweater. It's a restaurant." My mind still reeling, I managed. "I remember, Clara, but I have a serious problem. A letter from the bank." "Mum, don't start that again," Clara interrupted, irritation barely veiled. "Another credit card ad? Just throw it away. You don't need to open all these letters." "Clara, this isn't an ad. Someone put almost $1 million of credit in my name." A pause, then Clara's nervous chuckle. "What nonsense, Mom. Who'd give a pensioner such a loan? You're confused." My voice rose. "I'm not. It's in black and white. $950,000 in my name with my signature." "Mum, your blood pressure must be skyrocketing again. Did you take your pills?" Her syrupy tone spoke volumes of her exasperation. "Stop talking to me like I'm out of my mind," I rarely yelled. "I'm sane, and I'm going to the authorities." "The authorities? Oh my gosh, Mum. Trying to embarrass us for the whole town?" Clara sounded panicked. "I'll come over after work. We'll figure it out. But for gosh's sake, don't make any calls, okay?" Her extreme reaction struck me as odd, unsettling. To quell the churning anxiety, I focused on Lily's party. I ironed my dark blue dress, the hiss of the steam a temporary distraction. But my thoughts circled back. The loan, the bank, Clara's strange behaviour. A gnawing sense that everything was cracking. At the Golden Lily, Owen, my son, and his wife, Briar, were already there with their teenagers. Owen, a customs broker, loved to flaunt his status. "Mum, your hair's sticking out over your left ear again," he greeted, instead of, "Hello." Briar's smile was polite, never reaching her eyes. Clara arrived late with her husband, Marcus, and Lily. "Grandma, you've come," Lily said, a faint surprise in her voice, as if my presence was an anomaly. She took the wrapped silver bracelet I offered, mumbled thanks, and instantly turned to her cousin. "Mum, what story did you make up about the loan?" Clara whispered, leaning in. "I have a letter," I quietly insisted. "For gosh's sake, don't talk about it in front of everyone." Clara straightened, loudly asking if I wanted salad or soup. Lunch was strained. Owen and Clara talked business, occasionally throwing condescending questions my way. "Still remember Uncle Robert?" Or, "Are you sure you're doing okay alone in this big house?" They often hinted I should move, hinting they wanted to sell my house. As Lily opened gifts, Clara muttered loudly about my bracelet being old-fashioned. What was the point of explaining heritage to those who only saw price tags? After the party, Clara promised to stop by. I took the bus home, that strange anxiety tightening its grip. At home, I reread the letter. Lakeview Terrace. Upscale. I used Owen's computer to look up the address. Lakeview Terrace 27, Concord. Photos of a luxurious 2-story house with panoramic windows appeared. The value matched the loan. And the sale date? March. Exactly when the loan was processed. Clara's new SUV crunched on my driveway. She entered, nervous, avoiding my eyes, constantly fixing her hair. "Where is that letter, Mother?" she demanded. I handed it to her. Her face drained of color as she scanned it. "It's some kind of mistake," she stammered. "Or a scam. Someone used your data." "That's what I said. I'm going to the authorities." No, 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 Clara blurted. "I'll handle it. I have a friend at Fairview National." "I found something too," I stated calmly. "Lakeview Terrace is a beautiful house, according to the internet. And you have a new car. You never mentioned changing it." "Mum, what are you trying to say?" Her voice hardened. "Nothing yet. Just an observation." Clara clutched her purse. "I'll deal with the letter. You have nothing to worry about." "I think I do. Someone took a loan in my name, used my documents, forged my signature. If I don't pay, I lose my house." "No one's taking your house!" Clara exploded, fury contorting her face. "Demand it, Mom. Why do you always make everything so complicated? I told you I'd solve the problem." The red blotches on her neck pulsed. Only one thing caused such a reaction. She knew. "It's you," I said quietly, looking her dead in the eye. "You took out the loan in my name." Clara looked away. "Don't be silly, Mom. Why would I do that?" "I don't know," I replied. "But I'm going to find out." She snatched the letter. "I'm taking this. Don't do anything stupid. Don't call the bank. Don't go to the police. I'll handle it." She ran out, slamming the door. I stood there, devastated. My own daughter. She had jeopardized my home, my independence, my dignity. I reopened the house photos. Then, an unread bank email, an electronic copy of the loan agreement sent when the deal finalized. The signature was a crude forgery of mine. My cold rage boiled. For years, my children treated me like a burden. Now Clara had crossed the ultimate line. She hadn't just used my name. She'd imperiled my entire existence. I pulled out my worn notebook, tracing names. I needed a lawyer. Not Owen's kind. Someone who would stand with me against my own flesh and blood. A quiet defiance, forged in the heat of betrayal, began to harden my spirit. But the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. What would justice truly cost a mother when her own flesh and blood had stripped her bare? A quiet fury, cold and sharp, now fueled my every step. The phone book felt heavy in my hands as I flipped to the legal services section, my finger tracing down names. I needed a lawyer, yes, but not the kind Owen would recommend. A friend of the family, perhaps. Someone who would try to smooth things over, to bury this. No, I needed someone who understood the venom of betrayal. Someone willing to fight, not mediate. I found her listing, tucked away in an old brick building. Brenda Stone, specializing in elder law defense and financial exploitation. Exactly what I needed. My call was answered by a warm voice, surprisingly, an appointment made for that very afternoon. Stepping off the bus, The heavy oak door of Stone's office building loomed. Lawyers always felt intimidating. Harold had handled all that. "I can handle it," I whispered, pushing the door open. The reception area was small but cozy, filled with potted plants. "Mrs. Vance," a young woman with short hair greeted me. "Ms. Stone is expecting you." Brenda Stone's office was a revelation. Not stiff and formal, but bright, with large windows overlooking the city. She was a woman in her 60s, with kind eyes and short grey hair, dressed in a sharp blue suit. Her handshake was firm, radiating quiet confidence. "Tell me what brings you here, Mrs. Vance," she said, pulling out a notepad. I started with the bank letter, the impossible loan, Clara's panicked reaction. My voice, shaky at first, found a steady rhythm as I recounted finding the Lakeview Terrace photos, Clara's new SUV, and that final, devastating confrontation in my living room. Brenda listened, her gaze unwavering, occasionally asking a sharp, clarifying question. When I finished, she leaned back, tapping her pen. "What you've described, Mrs. Vance, is a classic case of identity theft, aggravated by family involvement. Sadly, it's not uncommon with elders." "Do you really think Clara did it?" I asked, still clinging to a sliver of doubt. Brenda's eyes met mine. "What do you think?" I sighed, the truth a bitter taste. "I do. The new car, her nervousness, trying to silence me. But I find it hard to believe. Clara's always been ambitious, a little arrogant, but a crime. People change," Brenda said softly. "Not always for the better. Has your daughter shown a pattern of disrespect for your independence?" I thought back. After Harold passed, Owen insisted I give him power of attorney over my accounts. I refused, causing a DMN scandal. He even threatened to have me declared incompetent. Then the constant talk about selling my house. "Too big for you alone, Mum. You can't keep it up." They'd even found me a nice little apartment in a retirement home. Brenda made a note. "Do you have a will, Mrs. Vance?" "Clara and Owen inherit equally. Harold and I decided years ago," I admitted, "though I've considered changing it lately, to the grandchildren instead." "I see." She nodded. "Now we have options. First, going to the police to report a crime. That's the most drastic, leading to possible legal action against your daughter." My stomach clenched. Clara in jail? The thought was absurd. "Are there other options?" I asked quietly. "Second, a civil suit. We could sue to have the loan agreement voided as fraudulent. Less drastic, but still public," Brenda continued. "Third, amicable resolution. I could write a letter, laying out the facts, demanding she take over the loan. The threat of legal action might force her hand." I sat in silence, digesting it all. All options felt horrible. Even more horrible was my own daughter putting me here. What if I just did nothing? I finally asked. "Just ignore this loan?" Brenda shook her head. "The bank would begin foreclosure, late fees, debt collectors, eventually seizing your home." "But that's not fair. I didn't sign anything," I cried. "Justice and the law aren't always the same, Mrs. Vance," Brenda said, her voice gentle. "To prove you didn't take the loan, we'd need to prove the fraud, and that means naming the fraudster." My eyes closed. Clara, always ambitious, calculating, even as a child. The school play incident when she was 15. The girl who got the lead role suddenly broke her arm. Clara got the part. Harold and I never spoke of it, but the worry in his eyes. Clara chose social services not from compassion, but for power. She was always envious of others' luxury. "Do you need time to think?" Brenda asked. "Yes, I suppose I do." I nodded. "It's too big a decision." "I understand." She handed me her card. "Call me, but don't take too long. Time is working against us." At the door, a thought struck me. "Ms. Stone, what would you do?" Brenda hesitated. "I can't give such advice, Mrs. Vance. Each person decides what's more important. Family ties or justice? If family ties are already broken, then there is only justice and self-respect." I left with a heavy heart. It was drizzling, a cold rain mirroring my internal storm. Walking slowly toward the bus stop, Brenda's words echoed. If family ties are already broken, then there is only justice. And self-respect. Could a real family exist when some members cheated and took advantage? The bus was late. I sat, watching indifferent people hurry past. Memories spun. Clara, a little girl, running towards me with a drawing. "Mommy, it's you!" Then a teenager, rolling her eyes. "Mum, you're embarrassing me." A college graduate, proudly showing off her diploma, her eyes saying, "Look, I've accomplished everything on my own." Though Harold and I had worked double shifts for her education. Then everything changed after Lily was born. Clara became distant, her visits formal, conversations critiques. When Harold died, Clara organized the funeral without my opinion. Even picked my dress. "You're in no position to make decisions now, Mum," she'd said. After, she and Owen divided Harold's things, as if I didn't exist. His stamp collection, a lifetime's work, Owen took without asking. "It'll just gather dust at your place, Mum." I became a problem to be solved. An inconvenience. They stopped seeing me as a person. Perhaps they never truly did. On the bus, struggling with my wet umbrella, a young woman offered me a seat, a small gesture of courtesy from a stranger, more than I'd received from my own children in years. At home, the first thing I did was dial Diane Kelly, my friend from the old post office days. Diane, 5 years my senior, but with more energy than most half her age. She'd been widowed almost when I was. But instead of succumbing to grief, she volunteered at an animal shelter and even started learning Spanish. "Eleanor? Something wrong?" "You don't usually call in the middle of the day." I told her about the loan, the bank, Brenda, Clara's reaction. "What a snake!" Diane exclaimed when I finished. "After all you and Harold did for her, you should sue. Go to the authorities. Make her answer for this." "I don't know, Diane." I sighed. "She's my daughter. How can I put her in that situation? How can she do this to her own mother?" Diane countered. "Eleanor, listen. You love your children. All mothers do. But sometimes love means letting them face consequences. If Clara gets away with this, what will she pull next time?" Her words made chilling sense. "I'll think about it. I need time. Just not too much," Diane warned. "Those bankers won't wait forever. And remember, I'm on your side, whatever you decide." After talking to Diane, a small sense of relief settled over me. At least one person supported me unconditionally. I made tea, sitting by the window as the rain intensified, drumming a soothing rhythm on the glass. My thoughts slowly clarified. What would Harold say? "Justice must be done," he often said. "You can't let others wipe their feet on you, even family." Perhaps I had allowed it too long. My accommodating nature had led Clara to this. She knew I'd rather keep quiet, but not this time. No more being the doormat, no more being invisible. My hand reached for the phone. Brenda Stone's number. My decision was made, hardened by the weight of years of subtle disrespect, culminating in this shocking betrayal. Was this the moment Eleanor truly began to reclaim herself, or merely the painful first step into a war she could never fully win? My voice, dialing Brenda Stone, was firm, laced with new steel. "Ms. Stone," I declared, "I've decided. I'm filing a lawsuit against my daughter and a police report for fraud." Brenda's pause stretched. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely," I affirmed, a fierce liberation settling. This battle was for me. Owen's name flashed on my screen moments later. "Mum, are you insane?" he roared. "Clara's hysterical. A lawsuit over some bank letter." "It's not some letter, Owen," I stated, calm. "Your sister took a nearly $1 million loan in my name, forging my signature. That's fraud. She's not stopping payments. Why are you always such a pain?" His voice shifted. "Did you know Clara used my papers?" A telling silence. "She said you had a deal." "No deal. She stole my data. If you knew, an accomplice." He scoffed. "Accomplice? Too many crime shows, Mom. It's a family arrangement. No, Owen, it's a crime. And I'm getting justice. What justice? You'll disgrace us all. He tried persuasion. Clara meant no harm. Just a better life for her family, at your expense. Rain hammered outside. No, Owen, I whispered. You should have respected your mother. Now, you'll pay. I hung up. My hands trembled, but a quiet calm settled. I had Brenda, Diane, and myself. What would justice truly cost a mother when her own flesh and blood had stripped her bare? The phone, still warm from Owen's outrage, felt heavy in my hand. But a surprising calm had settled over me. My resolve, hardened by years of quiet disappointments, had finally become unbreakable. I dialed Brenda Stone's number again, the rhythmic hum of the dial tone a steady counterpoint to the quiet storm brewing within. Brenda, I began, my voice clear. I'm ready. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. We prepare the paperwork. I'm filing that lawsuit and the police report. There was a brief silence on the other end, then a respectful, Understood, Mrs. Vance. It's a big step. I'll be ready. The next few days passed in anxious anticipation. Brenda was a whirlwind of efficiency, meticulously compiling documents, cross-referencing dates, and outlining the legal path ahead. I tried to maintain a semblance of normal life, tending my garden, reading, cleaning, but my thoughts were a constant hum of what was to come. I expected a torrent of calls from Clara and Owen, pleas, threats, manipulations. Yet the phone remained silent. Neither child contacted me. It was unnerving, this sudden, deliberate quiet. Perhaps they believed I would simply come to my senses, hoping their silence would make me abandon the fight. It only fueled my resolve. Then, on Thursday morning, Diane's voice, breathless with excitement, shattered the quiet. "Eleanor, are you sitting down? You'd better be," she exclaimed. "My granddaughter, Paige. You remember her, right? She works part-time at Silver Spoon Catering. She just called me. Their firm got an order to cater Clara's party, a housewarming party. This Saturday at Lakeview Terrace." My breath hitched. A housewarming party. In that house. The one bought with a fraudulent loan in my name. And of course, no invitation for me. The audacity of it. A stark testament to their belief in my insignificance. "A party," I repeated, the words flat. "How many guests?" "Paige says 40 people. Cocktails, appetizers, champagne. All top shelf," Diane relayed, oblivious to the emotional current running through me. "Starts at 6 p.m. I pictured Clara, gliding through the luxurious new rooms, accepting congratulations, talking about designer renovations and lake views, never mentioning how she acquired it. "Thank you for letting me know, Diane," I said, surprised by my own calmness. "This is important information. What are you going to do?" Diane's voice, now curious, lingered. "I don't know yet," I answered, honestly, "but I'm sure I'll think of something." After hanging up, I immediately called Brenda. "Mrs. Vance, I was just about to call you," she said. "The bailiffs can't serve the notice on your daughter. She won't answer the door or her phone. I think I know when and where to find her for sure," I said, and told her about the upcoming party. There was a long pause on the other end. "Are you suggesting we serve her with a subpoena right at the housewarming party?" Brenda asked, a note of disbelief in her voice. "That's unconventional. Are there any legal obstacles?" I pressed. "No, legally there are none. The bailiff has the right to serve documents wherever the defendant is. But it could cause a scandal. Let her have it," I said, my voice firm, infused with a cold, righteous anger. "My daughter is having a party in a house she bought with illegally obtained money, and she doesn't even bother to invite me, even though the loan is in my name. I think a little scandal is the least she deserves." "All right," Brenda conceded after a moment's thought. "I'll contact the bailiff. But are you sure you want to be there in person? Wouldn't it be better to let the bailiff do the job himself?" I wondered why I would want to be there. To see the shock on Clara's face. To savor her humiliation. No, that wasn't it. I wanted Clara to realize that I wasn't a helpless old woman to be used and forgotten. I was a person who could stand up for herself. Yes, I want to be there, I affirmed. Not out of revenge, but to show my daughter that I haven't given up. And I won't. I understand. Brenda's voice was respectful. In that case, I'll arrange with the bailiff to meet you Saturday night near your daughter's house. Say, 5:30. I'll let you know the exact location closer to the date. That's fine, I agreed. Hanging up, a strange calm settled over me. The decision was made. For the first time in a long time, I felt in control of the situation, rather than adrift. Saturday loomed, a day of reckoning, a day that would shatter more than a party, revealing the true cost of deceit. But as the moment approached, could I, a mother, truly face the destruction of what little family remained? Saturday dawned, clear and warm, a perfect day for a party, and a perfect day for a reckoning. The week had crawled by, each hour building the tension within me. I tried to occupy myself with chores, garden work, anything to quell the relentless churn of doubt. Was this too cruel? Am I truly breaking my own family? But with every whisper of uncertainty, Clara's actions burned brighter in my mind. The forged signature, the stolen dignity. My resolve hardened. I stood before my closet, a simple dark blue dress with a white collar chosen for its austere elegance. I styled my hair, applied light makeup. The woman in the mirror wasn't broken. She held a quiet dignity, a steely fortitude. At 5 o'clock, I called a cab, a rare indulgence. Today was special. Brenda had sent the address of a cafe near Lakeview Terrace where we would meet the bailiff. As the cab pulled up, Brenda was already there, seated on the veranda with a tall, somber man in a smart suit. "Mrs. Vance?" Brenda rose. "This is Mr. Elliot Nash, the bailiff." His handshake was firm, professional. "Ms. Stone has explained." He nodded. "I will serve Mrs. Caldwell." "Here's the plan," Brenda explained. "Mr. Nash will pose as catering staff. Once he locates your daughter, he'll hand her the papers. You can go in with him or wait." I pictured Clara's face. The image solidified my choice. "I'll go in with Mr. Nash," I decided. "Clara should know right away this is no accident." "Remember your goal," Brenda cautioned. "Not a scandal, but to show you're serious. Maintain your dignity." I promised, though my heart hammered. The 10-minute walk to Lakeview Terrace passed in a blur of legal explanations I barely heard. My mind was already inside that house, a place I'd never been welcomed. Lakeview Terrace unfolded exactly as I'd imagined. Manicured lawns, expensive cars, and grand lakeside homes. Number 27, Clara's house, stood out. 2 stories, panoramic windows, a sprawling terrace. Muffled music and laughter spilled from the open windows. "Party's in full swing," Mr. Nash observed. "Perfect timing." He pressed the bell. A young woman in a catering uniform opened the door. "Silver spoon?" she asked. "We're expecting extra staff." Mr. Nash nodded confidently. "That's right. And this lady is the quality inspector. We need to speak with the lady of the house." "Sure, come on in." We stepped into a spacious hall. Marble floors, mirrored walls, crystal chandeliers. This was where my money, taken by fraud, had gone. Mr. Nash strode towards the sounds of voices. I followed, trying to appear calm, but my blood hummed with anticipation. The living room was enormous, filled with well-dressed guests. Clara, in an elegant beige dress, held court in the center. She stopped mid-sentence as she saw Mr. Nash. Then her eyes landed on me. Her face froze, a mask of pure shock. "Mum?" she whispered, incredulously. "How did you get here?" Silence descended, heavy and absolute. All eyes turned to us as Mr. Nash stepped forward. "Mrs. Harper Caldwell?" he intoned officially. "Yes," Clara answered, confused. "And who are you?" "I am Elliot Nash, the bailiff." He pulled papers from his jacket. "I am hereby serving you with notice of a lawsuit by Eleanor Vance for fraud and forgery." Clara's face went white. She stood motionless, staring at the papers, then at me. "What in the DMN is this?" Frank, Clara's husband, roared, stepping forward. "What lawsuit?" "The suit concerns a $950,000 mortgage loan illegally made in Mrs. Vance's name," Mr. Nash explained calmly, handing Clara the documents. Clara mechanically took them, her gaze fixed on me. "Mum, are you crazy?" she hissed, her voice barely audible. "Making such a spectacle of yourself?" "No, Clara, you're crazy," I said quietly, but with unwavering clarity. "Making a loan in my name, forging my signature, buying a house with money that doesn't belong to you." The room was so quiet. The ticking of a grandfather clock echoed. Guests exchanged bewildered glances. Some began edging towards the exits. Mr. Nash leaned closer. "My mission is accomplished. I'm good to go, unless you have further instructions." "Thank you, Mr. Nash." I nodded. "You're free to go." He bowed politely and left. An awkward silence filled the air. Clara clutched the papers, lost. "Let's keep the party going, people." Frank blustered. "Miss," he snapped at a catering girl. "More champagne. My mother-in-law and I will talk in the study." He reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "No, Frank," I said, my voice cutting through the tension. "No talking in the study. Everything I have to say I've already said in court. Now, I want to see the house I bought with the loan money in my name. I have that right, don't I?" "Mom, stop it right now." Clara finally found her voice, a desperate plea. "You're embarrassing us." "No, Clara," I countered, my gaze unwavering. "You're embarrassing yourself by your actions. I'm only telling the truth." Owen, whom I hadn't seen among the guests until now, stepped forward, his face pale. "What truth? What are you making up now, Mother?" "I didn't make anything up, Owen." I turned to him, the weight of years of neglect in my tone. "Your sister made this loan in my name by forging my signature, and you knew about it, but did nothing to stop her." That's not true," Owen mumbled, but his eyes betrayed him. "Enough!" Clara shrieked, throwing the papers onto a glass coffee table. "Mum, get out of here right now or I'm calling the police." "Call them," I said calmly. "It'll be interesting to explain to the officers why you're throwing the person out of the house in whose name the loan for its purchase was made." A surprised murmur rippled through the guests. Some even whistled softly. Clara looked as if she'd been struck. "Ladies and gentlemen," I addressed the stunned guests, many already looking for an escape. "I apologize for the scene. I didn't mean to ruin your evening, but I thought you should know that this beautiful house was purchased with fraudulent money. My daughter used my identity and forged my signature to get a loan for $950,000. Then she registered the house with a shell company to cover up her actions." "That's a lie!" Clara screamed. "Mom, you agreed to help us with the loan. You gave me power of attorney." "Did I?" I raised an eyebrow. "Where is that power of attorney? Why didn't you show it to the bank? Why did you have to forge my signature? And why did I only find out about the loan when I got the late payment letter?" Clara fell silent, her lips pressed into a thin line. Frank put a hand on her shoulder, trying to appease. "Mom, let's not make a scene. We can talk about this in peace tomorrow." "No, Frank." I shook my head. "We've already tried to talk." Clara ignored my calls. "Owen urged me not to do anything stupid. Neither of you took the situation seriously. You thought I'd just accept it, like I always do, but not this time." I paused, circling the living room. Luxurious furniture, designer light fixtures, paintings in expensive frames. Everything screamed money, money taken by fraud. "It's a beautiful house," I said. "Too bad we'll have to sell it soon to pay off the loan. Or the bank will seize it. I haven't decided which option I prefer." "You can't do that," Clara exclaimed, stepping towards me. "This is our home. We've worked our whole lives to afford a house like this." "No, Clara," I objected. "You didn't work for this. You just stole money using my name. And now you're going to have to answer for it." Just then, Lily came running into the living room. She stopped, seeing the tense scene. "What's going on?" she asked, looking from her mother to me. "Grandma, why are you here?" "Hi, Lily." I smiled softly at her. "I came to see your new house. It's beautiful." "Lily, go up to your room," Clara said sharply. "Now." "But Mom, now," Clara repeated, raising her voice. Lily gave me a puzzled look and reluctantly left. "See what you've done?" Clara turned on me. "You've traumatized the child with your stupid accusations." "No, Clara," I said calmly. "You've traumatized your daughter by setting an example of dishonesty and disrespect for the law. What will she think when she learns the truth about how you got this house?" "She'll never know." Clara gritted her teeth. "Because there is no truth. It's just the fiction of a senile old woman who's jealous of her own children's success." Anger surged, hot and blinding, but I held it back. This was not the time for emotional outbursts. "Fiction?" I shook my head. "I have proof, Clara. Handwriting analysis proving the signature was forged. Medical records proving I was at St. Elizabeth's when I supposedly signed the loan agreement. Real estate records showing the house was registered to a shell company called Caldwell Holdings. Information about loan payments made from the company's corporate account. And the testimony of Tyler Pratt, a loan officer who admitted to helping you bypass the checks because of your past relationship." With every word, Clara's face grew paler. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. "You're bluffing," she whispered. "Tyler would never—" "He's already testified." I lied, hoping Brenda would forgive my little ruse. Given the choice between helping you and prosecuting you, he chose to save his own skin. Typical of men, isn't it? Frank was now looking at his wife with bewilderment and suspicion. "Clara, what is she talking about? Tyler? Who?" "Nothing," Clara said. "She's making it up." "Then why are you pale, Clara?" Frank asked, his voice laced with doubt. "And why didn't you ever tell me the details of how the loan was arranged?" A shadow of distrust passed between them. Frank may have known in general terms, but the specifics had been hidden from him. "Ladies and gentlemen," I addressed the remaining, highly uncomfortable guests. "Again, I apologize for ruining the evening, but perhaps you should reconsider your relationship with the owners of this house. People who can deceive their own mother are unlikely to be honest with friends and co-workers." "Get out of here," Clara shouted, losing her temper. "Get out of my house. Technically, it's not your house yet," I pointed out, my voice clear and strong. "And it won't be when the court decides my lawsuit. But I'll leave because I've done everything I wanted to do." I turned to go, but stopped when I saw Lily standing in the doorway. She must have overheard. Her eyes were wide with shock. "Grandma?" she whispered. "Is it true? Did Mommy take the money without your permission?" I looked at my granddaughter, the innocent confusion in her eyes tearing at my heart. I didn't want to hurt her, but I couldn't lie. "Yes, Lily," I said softly. "Unfortunately, it's true. But it's not your fault what your parents did." "Lily, don't listen to her!" Clara shrieked. "Grandma's confused. She doesn't know what she's saying." "I understand perfectly well, Clara," I said, my gaze firm, holding her eye. "And your daughter, too, will soon understand everything. Children don't stay children forever. They grow up and begin to see their parents for who they really are." With those words, I headed for the exit. No one tried to stop me. I could feel the stares of the guests. Surprised, sympathetic, judgmental. But I didn't care. I had done what I had to do. The story of the lawsuit and the housewarming scandal spread through Concord like wildfire. In a small town where everyone knew each other, events like this couldn't go unnoticed. Was this public humiliation a cruel but necessary step towards truth? Or had I merely traded one form of pain for another, risking losing everything that remained of my family? The lawsuit's shadow, cast by the housewarming scandal, engulfed Concord with wildfire speed. In our small town, where everyone knew everything, it exploded. The very next day, Diane called, her voice breathless. "Eleanor, you won't believe it? Paige said the guests scattered within half an hour of you leaving. And Frank and Clara had a terrible fight right there, for everyone to see. I listened, a strange mix of satisfaction and regret churning inside. The truth was out, but the unpleasant residue of Clara's public humiliation lingered. As a mother, seeing your child suffer, even if deserved, was always hard. What about Owen? I asked. Was he there? Diane confirmed he'd fled immediately, looking like he'd seen a ghost. My phone rang off the hook. Neighbours, former colleagues, even strangers, all seeking details, offering support or just hungry for gossip. I answered politely, briefly, refusing to turn my pain into entertainment. Towards evening, Brenda called. Mrs. Vance, how are you? The events of yesterday? I'm fine, I replied. Just tired of the calls. The whole town's buzzing. Unavoidable, Brenda sighed. But the good news, Clara finally received official notice. She'll either answer in court or settle. You think she'll settle? I asked, a flicker of hope. Likely, Brenda confirmed. Any lawyer would advise avoiding a trial given the evidence. 3 days later, Clara called. Her voice, usually sharp, was subdued. Mom, we need to talk. Can I come over? The invitation, once eagerly awaited, now felt like a surrender. But what was the cost of truly letting go when the bonds of blood had frayed so thin? Clara arrived an hour later, looking gaunt, dark circles beneath her eyes. She wore plain jeans and a simple sweater, not her usual sharp attire. She paused in my hallway, uncertain, before I led her to the kitchen. We sat across the old oak table, tea steaming between us. Mum, she began, her voice unusually subdued. I came about the lawsuit. I nodded. I'm listening. I hired a lawyer, Clara continued, her words stumbling. He said, I don't have much chance. The evidence is too compelling. She explained his advice. Settle. She'd take over the loan, put it in her name, pay all interest and penalties, plus $10,000 for moral damages. In return, I'd drop the lawsuit and the police report. What about the house? I asked, my voice steady. Clara pressed her lips together. Frank and we've decided to sell it. After everything. And you? I pressed. Do you realize what you've done? Not just legally, Clara. Morally. You betrayed my trust. You did what a daughter should never do to her mother. She stared into her cup. Frank and I dreamed of a lake house, but lacked a down payment. Tyler, an old college friend at Fairview National, said he could help, but needed a co-borrower with good credit. I knew you'd say no. She confessed, a bitter edge to her tone. You were always so careful. I wanted to show everyone I was successful, not just a low-paid inspector. I didn't think you'd find out. I saw no remorse, only fear of losing everything. I'll consider your offer, I said, but I need to consult my lawyer. She left, leaving a hollow feeling. Was this settlement truly justice, or just a desperate attempt to avoid consequences? What would Harold have said about a justice bought, not earned? Owen's arrival was a raw display of rage. Mum, this has gone too far, he roared, accusing me of destroying our family. I'm not destroying it, I countered, calm. You and Clara did that, deciding you could use me. He dismissed my words as melodramatic, insisting Clara just wanted a better life. At my expense, I finished. It's fraud, Owen. You knew, but did nothing. He feigned ignorance, claiming Clara said I'd agreed, then added a cutting blow. Maybe you finally decided to do something good for your kids. Go away, I whispered, the finality in my voice stopping his pleas to withdraw the suit. Now. He left, threatening I'd be all alone. My pain was real, but so was my resolve. I called Brenda. I'm not settling. Let the court hear the case. Clara needs to truly realize what she's done. The trial began. Clara's lawyer argued verbal consent, but Brenda's evidence, handwriting analysis, my alibi, bank testimony, crumbled his defense. On the second day, the judge, stern-faced, noted the clear fraud and suggested settlement. In the hallway, Clara's face was etched with desperation. "Mommy, please. I could lose everything. Think of Lily." I saw only fear of consequences, not true remorse. "You should have thought of Lily before the crime," I said. "This isn't about revenge. It's justice, and for you to understand consequences. Do whatever you want," she hissed. "But I don't think of you as my mother. Forget having a granddaughter." Her words cut deep, but my resolve remained. A week later, the court ruled. Loan voided. My obligations cancelled. Clara to pay $20,000 for moral damages. The bank, choosing not to press criminal charges, seized the Lakeview Terrace house. Clara and Lily moved to a small apartment. Frank filed for divorce. Owen stopped calling. Briar, cold, informed me, "We don't want you in contact with the children. They're too impressionable." I was a pariah. Yet a strange peace settled. Pain, yes. Loss, undoubtedly. But also profound self-respect and freedom from their toxic hold. Diane became my unwavering support. "Eleanor?" she asked. "When was the last time you did something just for yourself?" I pondered. "Time to fix it," she declared, urging computer classes, then travel. "Remember Italy?" she coaxed. "Harold's old dream. Would you come with me, Diane?" Her eyes lit up. "Yes, Eleanor, I'll go." Life, it turned out, held new chapters, new sunrises. The pain of what was lost would always be a part of my story, but it no longer defined it. I stood on the precipice of a new beginning, learning that self-worth, once reclaimed, could light the darkest path forward. Have you ever faced a moment where letting go of what you thought was family actually meant finding your truest self? Let me know in the comments below. Your voice matters. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of strength and